As a stylist, Hemingway commands greatest respect among contemporary writers and critics. The style which he forged in the early 20s has been imitated, seldom successfully, so widely that we recognize it as soon as we see it, although it off and on attains the perfection that it did in Hemingway's hands. Simplicity is the hallmark of his writings, but this simplicity and vividness go side by side in his writings. At Edgar Johnson, the simplicity of Hemingway is not the simplicity of Sherwood Andrews. His style has deeper meanings as well as a touch of suggestiveness. He has learned his style from Gertrude Stein, who taught Hemingway to cut out unnecessary detail and focus attention of the reader. It is said that the hard, bare, simplified Hemingway style is the proper expression of the inner structure, so there are no decorative words and a few adverbs and adjectives. Faulkner criticized Hemingway's style, and Hemingway replies, "I use the oldest words in English language when I write. People think I am an ignorant bastard that does not know $10 words." Hemingway's style is a revolt against 19th century romanticism, in which there is verbally romantic allusions, a great deal of the description of false sentiment. Hemingway's style emerges as reply to the clash of values after the First World War on English literary scene. Hemingway tries to avoid any direct comment on the event. This restraint makes his writing highly objective. Swift in Gulliver's Travel and Hardy in The Return of the Native try to impose their own ideas on the reader, but Hemingway does not do so. He is realistic and consummately objective. Hemingway insists on underlying the minute details and not the pathos of the situation. B. and Watt remarks, in this context, there are innumerable scenes of death and violence in Hemingway, but these are handled with detachment. Furthermore, Hemingway's use of understatements is remarkable. Symbolic implications are a necessary part of his writing. For instance, in For Whom the Bell Tolls, Maria symbolizes Spain and Jordan humanity. Similarly, the bridge appears as a wall that must be destroyed at the cost of the hero's life. Another talent in Hemingway's personality is the art of writing dialogues. His ears were very sensitive to catch the peculiarities of the accent of the various speakers. These dialogues are not literally transferred onto the paper but transformed into brilliant dialogues by the unique process of artistic transformation. He has written colloquial American speech in a vital way. He is also well versed in the art of characterization. He has created the most memorable characters of 20th century. His characters are individuals and at the same time representative of a whole generation whom they portray. Hemingway's plots are extremely simple. He is very flexible in his writing style. With the exception of For Whom the Bell Tolls, in this novel social and political forces are introduced and they play very important roles in the lives of the characters. The rest of the novels have very simple plots. His novels usually end at a point where they begin. As in For Whom the Bell Tolls, Maria carries the wounds of having doubt and loss, which is as deep as the shock of the rape committed by the fascist. And in Old Man and the Sea, Santiago returns as empty-handed as he was before going. More than all this, Hemingway is one of the supreme spokesmen of 20th century. His vision of nothingness penetrates to the depth of existential dilemma that man faces today. For instance, Jordan in the last scene of For Whom the Bell Tolls is the symbol of lonely rebel whose despair is unrelieved by any hope. One may not accept Hemingway's moral and philosophical convictions, but he remains true to them throughout his life. Whether Hemingway writes in his early, middle, or later style, he is unique in every style. He pressed his style into the service of subject matter. His style has become the minimal representation of the moral attitudes of the author. In the absence of any code, his style itself becomes the code. To pen of Hemingway will certainly be remembered as a great stylist. His short, concrete sentences, his lively dialogues, and his desperate search for the exact word which will express an exact and limited truth are undoubtedly great in 20th century fiction. Moreover, his later work have got new poetic touch. He narrates each and every incident in a proper sequence in order to produce emotional impact. As a critic has pointed out, the truth is that Hemingway is a stylist and a fine one. He is also a poet. Hemingway's craftsmanship is shown and proved when the critic further says, "Mr. Hemingway is unquestionably a master literary craftsman. All this makes him immortal among mortal ones."